Good morning, everyone. I'm here for another constitutional talk. Thank you for meeting with me today. You know, our Constitution begins with these words: We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Textualism. You know, when I go around and I talk about the Constitution, there will be people say, oh, we're just talking about the Constitution. You know, is that all we're talking about? You know, why is the Constitution of any importance? I mean, this whole idea that our fellow citizens just don't seem to understand. But let's say I want to pick up my clubs and go golfing today. I want to go down into the next state. I live near a border. Let's say I want to go over there, or let's just say I want to go down to see a museum down there, or I want to go see a concert, hear a symphony, what have you. And I'm crossing the border, and I don't want to have my visa stamp for crossing the border. That I want to have the right to go down and do certain things, to live the life that I want to live. This is why the Constitution is important. It's important because we all want to live our lives in a way. Everybody isn't consumed with government. Everyone is not consumed with the ins and outs of political structure. But we all want to live our lives the way we choose to live them, with very little interference from an overburdened government. And this is why our Constitution is important. Our Constitution is important because it's the main law of the land. It's because that's how we set up our government. A Constitution is a framework. When you go to the doctor and they talk about how strong your Constitution is, they're talking about your basic framework, your frame of mind, your absence of disease. They're talking about the strength that you have, the ability to fend off certain things. That's what a Constitution is. And you really have to look at it in a way that the Constitution of the United States of America is designed to preserve as much liberty as possible while still giving a federal government enough power to deal with things that they have to deal with in order so the rest of us can enjoy life. You know, John Adams once said that he had to study government and politics so his sons could study the arts and philosophy, so they could be free to do other ventures that they so desired. They could be free to work on the best seeds for the crops, to crossbreed different plants and animals, to develop the best racehorse possible. See, the whole concept of our founders was not to sit up in a Capitol building and serve for 40 years. That's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to be free to do what interested them. And they wanted all of us to have the ability and freedom to do these things. This is why our Constitution matters. And when we go through the Constitution and we discuss certain aspects, we do so because it's the framework of government, of law. When we're driving down the road and we make an error, a cop sees that we're speeding or we ran that stop sign, he doesn't pull us over just to pull us over. He pulls us over so the rest of us can live in a safe and free country. And they are paid by the municipality to enforce the laws written by the state. And the same goes for any other enforcement arm of our government. But as long as we obey certain aspects, certain rules, we can live very free as a free individual people, free with liberty. The problem is you can get government that can get too strong, and you're no longer talking about liberty anymore. You're talking the lack thereof. You're talking about some tyranny. We should all have an opportunity to live, breathe in a free society. Unfortunately, as you look across the world, that's almost a rarity. That's why our Constitution is important. That's why I study it. That's why I work toward it, because I'm fascinated by the writings and principles of our founders. Many of our fellow citizens want to bring up women's rights, the lack thereof, the slavery question. They want to belittle the country. The story of America isn't that one day everything was perfect. It's that over a period of time, we got over our struggles and prejudices to create really a great republic. Probably the greatest republic on the face of the earth. Rome didn't die in a day either. And there's always been struggles. We're always, as Ronald Reagan said, one generation away from extinction. And that's really true. We live in a two-party system primarily. There are lots of minor parties that the best you can say is they get strong enough that their ideas are taken over by one of the two main parties. And I'm not here to argue for one party over the other. They're both right and wrong in certain things, and have been very wrong on certain things over a period of the centuries. The good news is that things generally ebb and flow, and we come to a decent place in society. Today is no different. We have lots of things going on. We have protests in the street for one thing or another. But those things are guaranteed to us in the Constitution. The right to assemble, the right of free speech. All these things matter. So does the separation of powers. The open-endedness of the Constitution, which allows us to go and change things so that we don't have to go through a whole nother constitutional convention that these men off to my left were engaged in. We can simply try to amend it. We started our journey for a constitution in the Continental Congress where we work to confederate. So there were really three things our founders were trying to achieve. They were trying to achieve independence. They were trying to achieve diplomatic solutions with our fellow nations. And thirdly, they were trying to confederate all the colonies into a confederation to develop a union. Now, we're less than a year now from our 250th birthday of our nation's founding. And this really should be an exciting time because of how long we've lasted. And it's because of the strength of our Constitution that we've lasted so long. The oldest living document still in existence today is our Constitution. And it's because of what's in it. Our founders were so worried about abuse of power that they divided it up everywhere. It's a remarkable document. It's really something to come out of tyranny, come out of a war, and work towards a government that can really be honored by the world, to be looked upon as something special. And this is why I talk about the Constitution the way I do. Not because I want a lifelong career in government. On the contrary, I do not. I want to be able to live my life as a free individual and enjoy the pleasures of life. The many benefits of a long, successful life without interference from the state. And that's why I concern myself with the Constitution. Think about that, folks. Think about why we need government. We do need government. We need government to keep things peaceful, but we also want government out of our way as much as possible. Thank you for your time today. We'll catch you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.